Welcome back, traders. Today we're going to be picking up from where we left off in regards to analysis on gold using the volume profile. And the whole idea behind this trade that we're basically going for is we'll be looking for high odds entry zones and a scenario driven plan. Okay, so everything's kind of got to make sense before we do anything in this space. Just like the last video that I did in regards to the levels that I put out in this area over here, okay, which was 32.75 and 32.42. okay, clearly we can see price moved away from the low volume node area, okay, and began to push upwards. So if you was able to see that, there's a high possibility that you are sitting in profit right now. Okay, you're not negative at all, you are profitable. Now, as for me personally, I did not trade anything because the trades that I've been sitting in for the last couple of weeks, I'm still in those trades, believe it or not. So the trade that I took, I believe, in this location over here, and the trade I took in this location over here, I'm in both of those trades. The one that I had up here, I closed that off when this was kind of mooning, right? So I just closed it off. I think I closed it off about here somewhere. So that's where I got out my first trade, which is in a terrible location. It was right up here, right? So the two I'm in, so there was no need for me to jump into this trade over here, simply being it was basically the same area that I got in at. And when it comes to averaging into trades, I try to avoid doubling a position on the same level that I already have okay, because the idea is I'm trying to build a cascading type situation with the trades. So I don't do it like that. Right, so now with that said and done, hopefully we can see here why using volume profile is so important, because of what it was able to help us identify the low volume node, right? And now moving forward, we're now going to be looking for new opportunities that we can get into. Well, not mainly me, because I mean with myself, I am looking for buys a little bit lower, okay, or I'm looking for buys maybe somewhere up here on a pullback, right? These are just generic locations, doesn't really mean anything, but I'm just trying to put the idea out there. As it stands now, we are on a 4-hour time frame, okay, so we're on a 4-hour time frame on gold, not on a day, on a 4-hour. And yep, we're just going to get straight into the business of the day. So as it stands right now, if I was to look for buys in the market, okay, we have a bullish FVG in this area right now, so I will use that as a guide. So I'll be targeting between 33.00 and 33.50, okay, as possible areas for a buy, right? These are the areas that I'll be looking into. So I'll be looking at, say, from here to about here, which goes past the FVG zone. But that is just because of the consolidation that we have in this area right here. Lets me know that there's a possibility that price could just tap in here and move away. We're very close to a high volume node and the POC. So price, there is that chance that it will come back for a retest, right? So if I was going to do that, that's how I would basically do it. And I think I've used the wrong thing here. I think I've used the wrong thing. Let me use this instead. I think this is much better. Yeah, much better. So 350. Let me just get the coordinates up. So it's going to do 350. .000. Okay, and then we want to do 300.0 0.000. Okay, so this will be our buy zone in this area right here. This is our area where we'll be looking for buys, and looking at how large it is, right? You kind of gotta like be tactful, like really wait for it to do what it's doing before you start to jump in, right? So looking at this level is pretty much self-explanatory how we would do it all, right? And for the sales, why you would want to be looking for sales, only God knows. But if you're definitely looking for sales, then this is where you might want to take the sales from. I 100% will not be doing this, right? So this is advice that not advice, this is a concept that I'm sharing with you now that I don't believe in, right? So it's really important that I put that out there. So your sales, you'll be looking at it from between what makes sense, looking at it from 3,450. Yes, so you're looking at 3,450 all the way down to 350. This would be your sell zone, right? Why do we say that? Well, because ideally you want the sell zone from up here. As a matter of fact, I'm not gonna make this so robust, right? We're just gonna make this nice and clean. So we're gonna do the sell zone from, say, between this level right here, which is what? 3. Let me check the pivot on that. Let me just check the pivot on that. Because it's roughly around the same sort of zones anyways, right? It's roughly around the same sort of zones anyways. Okay. So, buys from this location over here, sells from this location over here, right? Reason why we will look for sells from this location over here is because so long as price does not close above the volume, above the value area high, okay, but stays under it and then closes below the low volume node, which is this right here, okay, you can take that sell to ride it all the way down to, I would say, to point of control, because I can't really see price breaking any lower all the way down to the volume area low, which is around what level? It's around 29, right? I can't see price going that low. It could, but I can't see it actually doing that. So I would say, if it does close below this low volume node over here, and which we're looking at 32.42, then by all means you can hold down to this level over here, which would be, like I said earlier, it is 29.29 or 29.29. So that's how I would do it. Okay, so I'll be looking for sales up here to ride down. And if I wanted to get in with another buy, I would take it from this location. But at this point, for me, I'm ready in, because the proximity from where I am now to this area over here is, I'm already in there. If I draw a line across, that's me right here. So I'm already in this position already, and I'm already down here already, right? So at this point, all I can do is wait to see if it pushes up higher, and if it does, then it's going to make a lot of sense for me to jump in. Okay, now at the same time as well, we can draw a little trend line at this level right here. We can draw a little trend line at this level right here, okay, just to keep track to see if price does anything interesting, keeps going up, you know, closes above it, and pushes up to this area over here, which is the free, let's just call it the 344, no, the 3440 level. Okay, and then obviously if it doesn't, and if it does a retracement from that level back, then we know what to do. So these are the two scenarios that I will lay out as to how I would move, with this one being the one I would most likely take, and this one here I would just reject totally. But however, I'll leave that up to you. So with all of this said and done, if you found the content useful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you turn on the notification, and you drop us a like, and I will see you all on the next one.